wait, is it finally me, Sarah from Ontario's turn to discuss the educational situation in Ontario while eating 5 sheets of toilet paper? Nope, because I'm not being punished. Yes! First, I want to say a big thank you for the surprise birthday video last week. That was awesome. So the basics of being educated in Ontario. Ontario has 4 publicly funded school systems: English public system, English Catholic system, French public system, and French Catholic system. We also have private schools. Publicly funded schooling starts being offered in junior kindergarten, which is when you're 4 to 5 years old, and goes all the way to grade 12, and it's compulsory for you to be educated till you're 18 years old. I'm not going to go into the whole middle school thing like JC because it honestly really varies in Ontario. Some go from JK to 8 and then 9 to 12, and others have a junior high system, and some have a public school system, and everything in between. So now that you're caught up, I want to discuss my big question. I want to discuss whether public education should be universal. The public Catholic school system is a hot political topic in Ontario. The fact that we do single out one religion for our financial support over others is a problem. The tricky thing is that it's a right granted in the Canadian Constitution for this system to exist. Provinces are able to dictate their own educational systems, hence why we're able to have this topic. Many politicians have run on platforms that propose solutions, ranging from abolishing the Catholic school board to sponsoring public schools for each religious faith to just leaving it as it is so as not to rock the boat. The other controversy is that in 2009, a so-called Afrocentric school was opened in Toronto that would have a focus on African history, perspectives, and experiences in order to combat the 40% dropout rate of Black students. Now, there was a public outcry of racism and segregation, and that was my initial reaction too. Like with the public Catholic schools, in my mind it became a question of how far do you take it? Do you create focus schools for every single ethnicity and minority? One of the arguments that arose against the school was the fact that we don't live in little pockets of racial groups but in a multicultural country, and kids have to learn how to interact in this world. The counter-argument is the fact that clearly the system is failing and something needs to be done. Now, the school hasn't been open long enough to know if it's actually made a difference. But it did get me thinking. My gut reaction was that Canadians shouldn't have to go to a special school in order to get a non-Eurocentric education, and that Afrocentric educations and Asiatic-centric educations should be integrated across the whole curriculum. I actually got a very liberal education in the public school system with teachers that did teach from a global perspective and incorporated African history into their lessons, and actually a pretty decent sex education. But that was all luck of the draw, because kids in the same school as me were taught different materials simply because they had a different teacher. And the fact that students in the same institution can have such different experiences and quality is, to me, problematic. But what about specialization? For example, I was in the French immersion program. A lot of schools don't have that. Also, my high school was very academic and was geared towards getting kids into university, so it didn't offer a lot of technical courses. Is this a problem? Should kids be offered the same curriculum? Should everyone be taught the same? And what about schools with a focus on the arts or sports? Should those be eliminated in favor of a universal public education? And if looked at that way, how's a school with a focus on the arts that different from a school with a focus on African history? I guess I don't have an answer, just a lot of questions. And I think that's why education is such a tricky subject. If you guys have any comments on the subject, I'd love to hear them. If you're interested in knowing about Ontarians' extra year of high school, which Lauren referred to, or about junior kindergarten, which Kat referred to, take a link in the doobly-doo. I wrote some information, I just didn't have time to include them in this video. As for guilty pleasures, I love ridiculously silly, cheesy 80s pop music. Wake me up before you go.